I've been keeping a secret from you for almost 7 months. I'm pregnant and expecting a baby boy in June, which is both so exciting to share, it being one that is something that I've wanted my entire life. But if you've been around here for very long, you probably know that we've struggled with fertility for 12 years and we lost our daughter to a miscarriage this spring. And this has all just been a very tough road, living in the public eye and struggling with really hard, painful things that I both think are really important to talk to people about, but also wanting to be really careful about ever oversharing or, I don't know, messing up when it comes to public vulnerability. But yeah, I mean, to say that I'm excited is an unbelievable understatement, but I'm scared. But also, life is short. There are so many things that we can't control, and if I've learned anything over the last 12 years, I've been sharing stuff with folks online, it's that we need to learn how to celebrate what's good in the moment and not allow ourselves to live in fear of the kinds of things that we can't control. If you've been hanging out with me for a while, you also know that I work full-time and I farm in the margins, and that I run the farm mostly by myself. I mean, completely by myself unless I need help, and then I ask Adam to help or my community to help. And so with that, there are some really big changes that I've needed to make. I actually started this giant downsizing process when I found out I was pregnant with our daughter last spring, and I was so sick throughout that pregnancy and it took so long to recover from the miscarriage. The reality was that some things had to go. Some projects had to shrink. And then I've been so sick throughout this pregnancy that I'm actually really glad I started shrinking my farm duties last year. So this video is going to be obviously really different than a lot of our other videos on this channel, because I want to talk about all of those things. What it feels like to put your whole heart and soul into something like farming in hopes of having future children, and then waiting for 12 years for those children to come and struggling so much getting them here, and starting big projects that then have to pivot, change, shift, or shrink, or even get totally given up on, at least for a season, and navigating the emotion of all that. Like, what do we do when we have to quit something we're really passionate and excited about in favor of something that's more important? How do we deal with the grief of the opportunity cost of time, effort, money, research, energy, blood, sweat, tears that we've invested in things that we just have to press pause or put a period on forever? And so as I take a little walk around the farm today, I want to tell you about all the things that are changing to, Lord willing, make space for a baby come June, to facilitate trying to get the school done and keep our focus on what's actually important, and which animals, which projects are gonna stay, go, etc. So let's do that. Cheers. When it comes to animals, making any cuts is a really hard thing for me, because I have just this kind of life principle of wanting this to be the last place that animals come, or if they're born here, I want them to live out their days here and never have any stress, never have to go anywhere else. And so I really wrestled a lot with deciding that it's time to rehome the alpacas, but I found a really great home for them. They're going to someone who literally will do a better job than I can, and basically just the very fact that I love doing stuff with their fiber, but I could also just get fiber from one of my many friends that raises fiber animals and not have to have one of the most stressful animals on the farm to actually continue to care for. And so yeah, this is a tough one, but we did find a good emotional replacement for the alpacas, and we'll talk about that in just a second. And by the way, if you're looking around me, please excuse the chaos. We are in fact mid-project, and yeah, let's walk back here and we'll talk more about it. If you've been around this channel before, you've heard me say over and over, never, ever leave your soil uncovered. And there is uncovered soil all around us. And that is both my pigs doing a really good job in this area of clearing out the underbrush so that we would have a good silvopasture area in the heat of summer to bring our animals where they have some shade. I mean, they will have some shade when these trees get some leaves on them, but because I've had to really limit my physical activity and my time on the tractor, there's soil uncovered everywhere. My dad's helping me get this stuff spread out, and we're gonna plant grass seed, and hopefully it will be great. But right now, it looks like I have done the exact opposite of what I wanna do, which is I've desertified a forest and uncovered a whole bunch of soil. And, well, that's not regenerative at all, is it? It will be. But right now, it certainly doesn't look like it. And speaking of the pigs, that was another downsize that was probably, of all of them, the most painful. I raised the pigs that I raised, trained them, took artificial insemination classes, and was in every way expecting to use those particular pigs for years on the farm to create a whole nother industry here. But because I was so sick for the first 6 months of my pregnancy, I realized that it was not going to be fair to those animals or good for their long-term health for me to continue putting off starting my whole breeding program. Nor was it a good time to start breeding pigs. And in that, I decided that the best thing to do was to butcher them. And that was a decision that felt like quitting probably more than any of these other things, especially because I felt like I was quitting on them. It sucked so much. Another layer of the suck there was because I was not physically able to butcher them myself. I had to take them to a processor and calling them by name and having them just follow me onto the trailer. Like, after all that training and everything, like, it just sucked already. But then we ended up having a super traumatic experience at the butcher, which was like just across the board not okay. There was an unprofessionalism I've never seen. And I don't want to go into detail about exactly what happened, but just like nothing went well after we got there, and I just felt so much like I'd failed. And like, I'll be able to take the knowledge that I learned about artificial insemination and using pigs to help clear invasive species and all that stuff. Like, I'll be able to take it, and when I am ready to do that again, I can do it later. So it's not a total failure. It just sucks that like some animals that I did really love didn't get the ending that I hoped for. But ultimately, the crappy way that the pigs whole situation ended helped me make a far better decision about the absolute hardest decision I had to make throughout this process, which was putting down my first dairy cow, who, like, I've been limping along for the last couple years. So I decided to put her down here. And her last day here was exactly what I want every animal's last day to be like. And I'm so thankful for her and everything she's taught me over the last 5 years about consistency and self-confidence, and boy howdy that I'm able to do way more than I ever thought I was able to do. I've wanted to be a parent my entire life, and the last 12 years struggling with infertility stuff has made so much of that journey feel so out of control. But the one thing that I could control is the one thing I've tried really hard to control, which is trying to become the absolute best version of myself. And that brings us to the sponsor of today's video, BetterHelp. I found BetterHelp in 2020 when the world had shut down and we suddenly had to figure out how to do all the in-person things that we used to do in person over the computer. But long after the world opened back up, I've continued to use BetterHelp because it has been so helpful for me. It's super easy to get matched with a therapist online. All you have to do is fill out a little quiz, and then it matches you with a therapist really quickly. And then if you ever need to change therapists, or you want to start talking about some other topic with some other person, it's super easy to change them. All of this stuff happens within an app. You can schedule your appointments, reschedule appointments. They even have really awesome group therapy sessions that you can use just because you're using the service. Honestly, the best part for me about BetterHelp is that I never have to leave the farm. So for 5 years now, Monday nights, I snuggle up with a blankie, I grab my spoon carving stuff if I'm feeling a little extra fidgety that night, and I sit down with my therapist and I talk about life. And if you are struggling with something and you think talking to someone about it might help, check out BetterHelp. And if you use the code AnnaballTrades at checkout, you'll get 10% off your first month of therapy. And look at that, a spoon. It's pretty neat what you can make out of a branch that fell out of a tree during a windstorm. Butter here is about to be bred to Fancy, who's our first 6th generation bull that was born on the farm. Thank you for sharing that with us. Since we are actually already interrupted, let me just say that we are currently on tornado watch, so it's quite windy out here. Welcome to chaos. And because I can't currently ride the mower for hours at a time due to not wanting to shake my fetus too much, I asked my parents to come visit for a month to help me with some of the more laborious spring activities. And so my dad's out there planting grass right now. Bless his sweet servant heart. Well, all the cows are leaving because cows are like cats and they're very curious and they all want to see what my dad's doing with the lawnmower. But while we go, please examine my proudest invention yet. I was able to make a trade with one of my neighbors for his old harrowing disc, and then I got a sweet little seed planter on Amazon, and with some bricks and some bungee cords, I made myself my very own little seed drill. Excuse me, sir. I would like to eat whatever food you have in that bucket. I was led to believe that the sound of machines meant treats. Growing up, my dad did not have any tools and was not super handy, but when I started making YouTube videos, he started watching YouTube videos and has since learned how to do so much stuff. So now it's so fun to watch my dad using my tinker toys to tinker and to play. Everyone say hello to Mom of All Trades, who's here to help as well. God bless her.
Carrying buckets of seeds.
As we do.
As we do.
All right, you little dum-dums. Howdy and Bella, donkeys, loves of my life. Dogs that live for 40 years obviously are going nowhere. Trimming their hooves has become a little bit more physically challenging for me, but mercifully they seem to kind of know that there's something going on, and they've been a lot more gentle lately, which I really appreciate. Bella. Hi, buddy. You guys have been rolling in the mud, huh? Johnny, actual love of my life, and June, who's also here, are also going absolutely nowhere. Losing our baby last year. At that time, Johnny was actually really, really sick, and I didn't think he was going to live much longer. I was so afraid that I would never get to see him with be around a kid. I just can't wait for him to have his own little boy to play with and to watch after and to look after. So that's something I'm really excited about. Plus, I am very, very happy to report that he is actually the healthiest he's ever been in his life, which is so dang encouraging and hopeful to me. Howdy, are you making it hard for Adam to film? Why, yes, I am. And if you're a regular here, you know that I'm not at all sad to report that the chickens have moved to May's house. My 4-year-old neighbor May decided she wanted to take over the chicken business this year, and I was so excited to outsource that piece of it. We just had our first meeting. We ordered our spring chicks from McMurray Hatchery, and we're gonna put a portion of the egg sales into her college fund. So, huzzah! We are now a chicken-free farm. Woo! By the way, I don't actually hate chickens, but if we are to compare the usefulness and lovingness and joyfulness of a chicken versus a cow, I'm gonna choose cows every time, I hate to tell you. Lucy has earned her spot to stay on the farm forever because the day that our neighbor asked me to take Lucy, she, for absolutely no reason whatsoever, walked up to Adam and bit him on the leg and then walked away. So, you know, she gets to stay. And then also because May was very afraid, and rightfully so, of my guard goose, the guard goose stays. We'll find something else for her to guard. Maybe she and Lucy will strike up an unlikely friendship. One of the things that I thought was going to be a much harder decision than it's turned out to be, excuse me, not your turn yet, was what we were gonna do about the goats. There were some cuts that absolutely had to be made, but I'd actually already thinned my goat herd pretty significantly, and the only ones that were left were my kind of star hitters, if you will. Hi, buddy, I know. We're right here. Oh, shoot, but now my hand's dirty, and now I have to go wash it again. But that's okay, I will, because this is worth it. And so as I started thinking about this, I was like, what if I could find a situation where I could help someone else get really, really well established with their new herd, and then at a later date, come back and revisit those genetics. Like maybe I would take a couple of the goats back, or get a couple of the babies from those goats at some point later on, should I choose to re-expand. And that's exactly what I was able to do. We found a new home for Jeffrey, the originator of a whole lot of our goat chaos, which made things so much simpler in and of itself. And then I found another really great home for 4 of my 8 remaining star players. One thing I definitely didn't want to lose in this pregnancy was my daily routine of milking. And the simple reality of milking goats versus milking cows is that this is a whole lot less physical. So as I was thinking about who to swap and what to do and all that stuff, I basically just was like, okay, who are my 2 calmest milkers? And that paired with how much I've simplified all of the rest of my daily chores, we're down to basically like a 25-minute morning routine. And even on my worst days, though sometimes I've had to have a bucket to puke in right next to me, it's been totally manageable. Making decisions to cut or to shrink is never easy. We can get lost in our sunk cost bias. Like, we've already put so much time and energy and resources into this endeavor. And I will say that over the last several years, one thing I've gotten a lot better at is making less emotionally and more data-driven decisions when it comes to things like this. Are we in danger? I think we should go in the house. Let's go in the house. I knew that as I was downsizing the farm and I wasn't able to be as physical in the wood shop and doing sawmilling and mushroom foraging and all the things that I was previously doing all the time, I needed to bring some of the joy that I find outside inside. And all of that led me to decide that I was in desperate need of a small, cute, cuddly indoor project of an animal. So this is my house bunny, Eugene, who also happens to be a fiber animal. This has helped me to grieve the loss of the alpacas a lot, because I can take her fiber directly off her as I brush her or just pet her right now, and use it immediately on all of the spinning wheels that my woodworking mentor Frank and I built together all those many moons ago. I was able to potty train her, and now she and our insane lab Rigby are the most cute, unlikely, wonderful friends. And it has given me so much joy. I mean, look at this ridiculous little lump. I've wanted to be a mom my entire life. Everything that I've done on the farm from the very beginning has been aimed at trying to create the kind of life for my kids that I wish I'd been able to have, and learning how to become the kind of human that hopefully will be able to raise a kid like me. If there's one thing that I hope that you get from watching my videos, it is a sense of hope. But I'd be lying if I said that hope at this point feels a little dangerous and scary. We were so excited to tell you about our daughter before we lost our last pregnancy. But one thing we've tried really hard to focus on, not grieving what hasn't happened yet, and celebrating good news as long as it is good. And some days I'm better at doing that than others. But in the vein of hope and gratitude and excitement about what's to come, there genuinely are so many exciting things coming just right around the corner. Calving season is about to start. So we're about to have a bunch of really, really cute calves, which also kicks off dairy season, and we all know how much I love butter. I finally found a usable mate for my tiny donkey Bella, and so a baby donkey is in the future. It's almost spring, so the garden is about to absolutely explode again. I set all of my bee swarm traps pointing directly at our neighbor's apiary, so we're probably gonna get some more free bees pretty quick here. There is new life and sunshine and good weather and green grass and good things literally everywhere you look. On days that I'm able to allow myself a little bit of hope for the baby, I'm so excited to see Adam be a dad. Actually, knowing his dad was a huge part of why I married him, knowing that he would be literally the world's best dad. And though it's been really bumpy working together, it has gotten so much better. I mean, we just hit 500,000 subscribers on the channel. Thank you all so much for being such a huge part of this journey. We have so many exciting videos coming down the pike about all the things that I just talked about, and I genuinely can't wait to share it with you. And so I hope you leave this video, like I hope you leave every one of my videos, feeling challenged, inspired, and excited to get outside, to try something new that just might change your life for the better. Cheers! All right, little you genius, let's go hook you up to the spinning wheel.